Tonight we were joined by the incredible, the all-powerful 3D printing wizard that is Creatrix Britt. She's an incredible woman in STEM, and she's got a very, very cool background that we're going to be chatting about today. Britt, thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I was so glad that we were able to get you on, because I was like, I really want someone who's really incredible in the 3D printing world and does education and incorporates the sciences. I'm like, who else but Britt? Like, who better to bring her on? Would you mind doing an introduction for the party people?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Britt. If we have never met before, then welcome to SciAnts Streams, probably the best channel that you'll see on Twitch. And so I am one of those friends you'll see lurky turkey in the background all day long. I get to work here from home. I'm lucky enough to work from home doing art direction and 3D printing. I make content around 3D printing. I sculpt files now, even for 3D printing. The current project that I'm on is making content for a company called Polymaker. They make Filament, and they created this educational program where we make vertical video content and produce files, free files that are based around kids, education, development, anything that has to do with benefiting children, basically, and education actually in general. We're going to go up to pretty high end on the age scale, and we have just like big plans for it. And I love doing what I do now. In a previous lifetime, I used to be a paramedic firefighter. And then again, I was lucky enough to have my children and get to stay at home and raise them and watch them grow and develop, which was amazing. I started streaming on Twitch, actually doing video games, Star Wars: The Old Republic. Shout out to my SWTOR friends. I started just doing it to be social, honestly. And as people saw that I made stuff in the background, they were like, oh, cool, you make stuff we want to watch. I was like, really? You guys want to watch me make stuff? They're like, yeah, absolutely. So I would make my cosplays and things related to Star Wars and SWTOR on stream. And it kind of developed from there. I found 3D printing, through doing my cosplay and through doing my streaming. And it's just grown and developed on its own.
Britt, let's get into a little bit of your background. So how did you get into the sciences, I guess? Like, what made you interested? Because like the EMT part of your life, the 3D printing part of your life, the education part, like all of this kind of weaves together into someone who's really passionate about helping people and about like spreading knowledge. Where did all of this start? Like, where was that? Do you think you can pinpoint where you fell in love with this?
I don't think there was one moment in time where it occurred to me that this is what I wanted to do. I was one of those kids that it just was always there for me, that curiosity about the world around me, about how things worked. I was never satisfied with the answers that grown-ups gave me. Right? I was like, why? But why? But why that? And also why? When I came around, like, the grown-ups just dreaded me being there, because they were like, can I hold it? Can I try it? Can I touch it? Like, no, you cannot. Whether they were making something, cooking something, like anything, if they're animals, and like anything and everything, I just wanted to figure it out. I wanted to make sense of the world around me. I was always a good student. I was one of those strange kids. Shout out to the strange kids in chat who grew up to become just like me. You were there eating spaghetti, watching Trauma Life in the ER and TLC, growing up just like, this is so fascinating. Like, I was so, now I look back and I'm like, okay, I can see how that was off-putting. It didn't occur to me then. But anything that was all of the trauma shows, all of the surgical shows, anything and everything that would show me the human body, I was there. I was fascinated by it. And it felt like such an honor even then, just to be able to watch someone's medical care and to watch people who are knowledgeable and passionate about it do it in a way that just like, by the way, we're going to put this on television. I was literally just confused. I was like, why isn't every human being watching this? This is so important. This is like, everyone should know this magic. And of course, everything is magic until you can explain it through science, right? And to me, as a child, it was magical, and I just was like, I have to figure this out. I have to know what they're doing. I have to know why they're doing it, like why they make these decisions. And so that haunted me my entire childhood. It was just kind of always there. So anytime there was, in Girl Scouts, like first aid, oh brother, I was the first person in line. I was like, yo, me, sign me up. I'm there. I want to see it. I want to do it. And they're like, doesn't this gross you out? Isn't this weird? I was like, whatever is supposed to be in your head that tells you like to look away at something or to be grossed out by something. Like I wasn't born with that. And I'm okay with that. And everything was fascinating and beautiful. It was just so beautiful to me that we are capable as humans of being able to look at the human body, which is so complex, and to be able to figure it out and to be able to heal it and grow it and repair it. It was amazing to me. So I was that strange kid. Yeah, watching Trauma Life in the ER.
And we just
like
got
at a young age.
So did you have a teacher that promoted your curiosity as well? So one of the themes that we've heard so far is either I had a teacher who was like this integral person in my life who really encouraged and fostered the curiosity I had, or kind of the opposite reaction in like the middle and high school era before going off to college. Or did that really not affect you?
And I was so lucky to have a lot of really awesome teachers growing through primary school, high school. There were, I don't know, I think you take away a little bit from every one of them, right? We pick up something from all of them, whether we like it or not. You're kind of just a collection of the teachers you've had. And I think the ones that stuck out to me personally, I kind of feel like a lot of stuff when you're younger is just simply about surviving it, right? You get through high school, you're told what to take, you're told what you have to sit through. Okay, I'm in this class because I have to, right? You don't really get that option. And that's what was so wonderful about college to me, was that I got to choose at that point, not gen ed, sure, but I got to pick my major. I got to pick what I truly wanted to be in. And to me, that was game changing. So unfortunately for me, it took a little bit longer to find that. But it was actually my Bio 101 professor who just rocked my world. The way that she would speak, there's an old saying that people who truly understand something can explain it in the simplest of terms. So if you can't explain it simply, then you don't understand it well enough or something like that. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Until I met this woman. And then I was like, as a neurodivergent person, I struggled with a lot of teachers that would teach in a traditional way. But the way that she spoke felt like she was speaking like to me in a classroom of 400 students. And I just remember the care that she put into her words and how she would present the information. This woman was so intelligent and was so humble about it, was teaching this one-on-one course where people were just like, oh, I have to be here, I have to show up, whatever. They didn't take it seriously. I would literally have to sit in my chair and like digest the whole class. Like before I could get up and move, I just was like, that was insane. All of that made perfect sense to me. I like turned around. I was like, did everyone just like experience that the same way that I did? I didn't have to go back and study it. Like it sunk in with it, like it resonated with me. I thought about it in my free time for fun. I was like, this is insane. Nothing has ever settled with me in the way that biology has. And that was kind of like, well, this makes sense because this plugs in now as to how we practice medicine, how we figure out, how the world around us affects us and how we live this experience as humans. So bio just was like an extension of learning of the human body, was learning about our environment. But she's probably the first person I think of when I think of a meaningful teacher, a meaningful professor. It was not in the way that she blew us away with how much she knew about a specific subject and, like how hyper specialized she was. It was how she presented this basic information in a way that resonated with everyone in the room and how it felt like she was personally talking to you, not talking at you. I'm sure you've had those people,
Yeah.
right? Like talk at you and you're just like, I'm right here. At least like make eye contact with me. Good God. People will talk at you or around you or just like kind of like bleh, hardly even acknowledge you. And it felt like she was speaking to each person as a person. And I'd never seen anyone like humanize lessons like that before. And I was like, wow, she just blew me away. So I feel like that's pretty special to have found a professor like that in college who could make the beginning of my education so meaningful, because that fueled me for the rest of my college years.
And like you said, it's one of those introductory courses that could be the make or break. Like a lot of people are there because like, oh, I have to be here for pre-med or I have to be here for general education requirements. And like, I know my bio intro professor was just like, well, I have to be here because I have to teach, right? Like it was the same mentality. And so it's like, it's really cool that like you can even like now look back and pinpoint, be like, this was the person, it was this method that worked. That's really, really cool. Where did that set you in terms of your journey? Like you said, that's when it kind of hit you of what you wanted to do at the time. What was then the the hit? Like, what is it that all of a sudden like drove Britt?
So I always knew I wanted to do something in medicine, something, based off of the science of us and how we are and how we function. And I just felt like a lot of us default to pre-med, right? We're not really sure what we want to do, but we want to do something that looks good on paper. It's impressive. It sounds pre-med, until we hit orgo, and like 90% of us, we figure out, nope, I don't want to be a physician. Never mind. I would like to do something else. And I defaulted into like bio pre-med, and it was, I think, probably like second or third year, I took a course in, we all kind of started to break off. I don't remember what year this was, but everyone kind of started saying, oh, the tables are turning with how you apply to medical school. And as opposed to taking the traditional students that were, orgo, chem, biochem students, they were taking these non-science majors that had pre-med prereqs, because they were finding that students who were more essentially well-rounded as people and had these other people skills were doing better after their collegiate courses. And so the college that I was at the time was saying, hey, let's follow this trend. Let's start focusing on the students that also are like big buffs in human history or in music theory or in art, who can also, go through all of the pre-med prereqs and go through that gauntlet, who want to be physicians. And yeah, they just found that they were having a really successful group of physicians that they were graduating. And that was the way that they were starting to go. So all of us that were hitting the upper classes were panicking, right? Because all of us were like bio majors. Yep. What are you going to take this from us now? Like, I have to find something else to do? Oh my God. So a lot of us were kind of like flirting with, like nutrition and sports science therapies and things that were kind of adjacent. And I took a therapy class, like a basic couples therapy counseling type course, based off of communication and how we communicate with one another, where the breakdown is in our inability to send messages to each other or interpret the messages correctly. And again, it was something that just like hit me between the eyes. I was like, this makes perfect sense to me. As a neurodivergent person, if anyone else has ever had that, you have to like study other people and watch other people and how they interact and try to interpret that for yourself. And they laid it out in this clear and basic way that I was like, this is insane how much this resonates with me. So then I ended up going for a dual major with pre-med prereqs as well. So I was on a scholarship. And I was like a class away from graduating, and they're like, we see you, and we're not going to pay for that last course. So I had to like stay an extra semester in order to like get the degree I wanted with the minor and all of that. And they're like, you could stay an extra semester and turn that, BS into a BA. And I was like, I'm good. No, thank you. I'm burnt out now.
You can pay for the full thing too, right?
Yeah. I was like, I can't afford that. So I was working as a paramedic. I actually started immediately out of high school. I was like, this is something that I want to do, whether it's for a small amount of time or a long amount of time. I at least want to do it now. I had such FOMO. I graduated high school, and then a few weeks later, I was in EMT school.
Wow.
And it was like the summer session, and then started college in the fall. So when I say I rushed, I like run, don't walk, straight into the EMT classroom, got my license at 18 years old. I was a licensed EMT basic, took the driving courses and all that, and I was hireable on the ambulance as an 18-year-old kid. Looking back, that's terrifying to say that. It's like, oh my God, could you imagine it? But I was so in love with it. I literally couldn't imagine of doing it any other way, because I look back at my peers who were doing it. They went to like fire academy before me or a year before me. And I had such FOMO. I was like, I gotta get in there. I gotta do it. Like, that was my way in to like get in there into the patient care side of things without having to go through the process of graduate school. So I went to EMT school, went to college that semester. Next semester I came home. I did paramedic school, which was an accelerated program, kind of like a military program. They got you through like a year and a half worth of information in about 7 months. I got my licensure at the state that I was in, and then went back to college for a semester, went back to fire academy the next semester. Like every summer I squished in, came back to community college, and it was nonstop education for me. So for the last half of college for me, it was working at night shift, volunteering on the weekends as a firefighter, working night shift as a paramedic, getting up and going to class the next day.
Wow.
So yeah, no social life, no friends. I'm just kidding. I had lots of friends actually. They were working just as hard as I was, honestly. We were all working really hard, but you had to be passionate about it, because that was the only way to afford it.
Absolutely. And you're not
was
just
working like
doing the
that.
paramedic side of things, but you're also doing the volunteer firefighter side of things and going to
It was a
schooling,
lot.
and that's not even highlighting how much work you have to put in for like homework and studying and tests and everything, right? So
Yeah. Get good grades.
it's a lot. Could
It was.
for some of us who are maybe, unaware of some of the differences, could you go into like the difference between an EMT and a paramedic and kind of what the differences are in terms of the schooling? Like, what does one learn versus the other? And like with that rush, what was that rush experience like as well with the 7 months instead of a year and a half?
So even in high school, here in the States, we have, or it used to be Boy Scouts of America, and I believe it's called Scouting now. I think they just call it Scouting. But they were an umbrella organization that held something called the Explorer Program underneath of it. So in Explorers, there's a lot of different career paths that they have groups for that kids can get into and kind of figure out, they can do ride-alongs with the police and figure out if they want to grow up and be a cop, or, they had the same thing in EMS and fire. So I did fire exploring when I was in high school. It was like very supervised, like certain hours only. Like you could ride with them on the fire truck, but you weren't allowed to touch any patients. But you could like carry the bag, right? So we were so in love with it. But when in Fire Explorer, you could get like your first responder certificate. So it kind of goes like first aid card, first responder, EMT basic. In some states, they have an EMT intermediate, and then there's EMT paramedic, like the highest pre-hospital licensure that you can have. I'm sorry, there's also EMT, what is there? Critical care. I believe you can also have critical care as a paramedic in some states as well. And then you get into like the RNs that are also with your respiratory therapists and your paramedics on helicopters and fixed wing aircraft. So I got to EMT paramedic, and the difference is kind of everyone has the fundamentals of CPR first aid, and then you kind of build on that. So as an EMT paramedic, as a basic and an intermediate, you get some more skills like giving certain medications, like real basic. I'm going to say basic because they're pretty easy to give, like oral medications. And then as an intermediate, I believe you get some skills like starting IVs, basic fluids, fluid treatment, stuff like that. And then as a paramedic, you can do things like advanced airway interventions. Some more complex field skill sets.
Sounds terrifying for an 18-year-old to start doing something like that. I guess maybe it's not so unlike lifeguarding too. Lives are in your hands, right? Like maybe nothing happens, but maybe you're the one who's going to be called into action to save someone's life. Like that's a really, really cool. It's not only cool that you were wanting to learn that, but also how early you started and how successful that you were, that being able to rise up through the ranks.
It was an obsession, honestly. It just kind of, it was empowering to feel like if you could be having the worst day of your life. And I never wanted to be the person who was unprepared for things. I was always over prepared for everything that I did. And to feel like in life, we could be walking through life and then just anyone could have, a car accident. Anyone could go into cardiac arrest. And then to feel like if the absolute worst happened right now, would I be prepared for it? And if the answer was no, I was like, I need to fix that. And you could meet anyone on the street having an ordinary day, and in a split second, it can turn into the absolute worst day of your life. And it just kind of made sense to me that it's like, if I have this little strange bit about me that, seeing these things don't bother me, right? Like seeing the human body, injured or sick. When I look at it, I'm fascinated by it, as opposed to being, often we are not attracted to that. A lot of people look at that and they're just like, ugh, I never want to see anyone hurt. I don't want to see humans hurt. What fascinates me is that the machine, or the body like machine, can be broken like a car. So if you look at a car in a car wreck, right, you see the car, like, oh my goodness, look at all the portions. Like that's really important in that piece. Oh, that thing's way over there. That shouldn't be there. That's kind of how we assess it by looking at the human body, right? Like it's just this machine that breaks in certain ways. But if you understand the parts and the core of it, you can understand how to urgently, put things where they need to be in order to sustain their life, to get them to the hospital. Because what they truly need is like a surgical intervention. They need a physician. So if I can take someone having the absolute worst day of their life and I can do something to make it better, why wouldn't I do that? It kind of just felt like this is my gift. This is the weird, quirky part of my brain that it just fascinates me. I don't want to see, I would love to see my job go out of business. I would love to see no one hurt ever. I would love to see us be so safe as the human race that we're so careful and so mindful that nothing bad ever happens to us and we never get hurt. I would love that. I would die happy if I could see that. But I know that unfortunately we are going to make mistakes and screw up. And that's okay. We have people around the world who are just like me, who care about people, and we don't want to see others suffer and struggle. So it's like, if I have that part about me that it doesn't bother me and I want to help, that I should put myself in a position to help people in the greatest capacity that I can. So yeah, my family was very disappointed because they were all law enforcement and attorneys. They were like, you, the black sheep over there, the big brain, and you had to go be an EMT. Look at you. I was like, yeah, sorry to disappoint you guys, but that's just the way that I was built. Yeah, I was fascinated by it. I loved it. I was passionate about it. I was obsessed with it. And it was hard to imagine my life would ever become something without EMS in it, because it was who I was. People knew me, like that's what she was into. So I could never imagine myself stepping out of it.
And even undergrad was kind of geared towards that. It sounds like it was right to the classes, like that pre-med line of work was just building the knowledge on more and more about the human body, and like almost doing like the other side of it, right? Like you said, you can help someone in the worst day of their lives to get to the doctor, and then it was like gearing up to that doctor side of things. Yeah. What was your, I guess before we go to the next step, can you just comment a little bit for someone who might be listening or watching at home about like how you managed the volunteer work, paramedic work, and the schooling all together? Like that on its own, Britt, is inspirational. Like, what advice do you have for someone to be able to manage all those different components and be able to be successful at it?
When I was younger, I probably just would have said, just do it, just get in there and love it and find what you're passionate about. And now that I'm a bit older and a bit wiser, and I have children, and I miss sleep so much, and I love sleep so much. I feel like I need to apologize here publicly to sleep and say, I'm so sorry that I ever treated you the way that I did in college. I went without so much sleep. And I don't think that I did it in a healthy way, honestly, because I don't feel that this is just me. I feel like I could have been an even more effective student and been even better at what I did had I gotten rest and had I had a hobby and, taking care of myself physically. But I was, young and healthy and stupid. So I just went so many nights without sleep and powered through it and was like, that's okay. This is what passion's for, right? So honestly, I would say, please manage your time and take good care of yourself and your physical health and your mental health while you're doing this. There's no medal at the end for the human who suffered the most, right?
For the least amount of sleep.
Trophy. Yeah, there's no award. And I promise you, there's always someone who just slightly more than you. You feel like you're doing the most, and I bet you are doing the most you possibly could. There's always one person who's going to beat you out. They're going to beat you to the punch. And yeah, I don't think it's healthy the way that I approached it. So I would beg people, put yourself first, because you can't be an effective student. You can't learn your best if you don't take care of yourself. So I did, try to work out. I did work out. I didn't sleep like I could have. I definitely struggled a lot. My nutrition could have been a lot better. And I wish that I had focused on those things a little bit more. That would be the advice that I would give people, is don't kill yourself for this, because you have, with some good luck ahead of you, you have so much time to enjoy this and to invest yourself into it. And you're going to be an even better person at the end of it if you take good care of yourself. You can do this for longer, right? If you take good care of yourself now. So invest in that, and don't think that giving up so much sleep is like the sacrifice you have to pay. You don't. You're valuable, and you're worth the self-care and the time to rest and to have a hobby and to have relationships. So don't do what I did. That's all. All of that just to say, don't do what I did.
I feel like that advice can apply to like a lot of everyday lives as well outside of the school too. It's just one of those universal pieces of advice that was very eloquently said about like, if you're getting rest, you'll be able to do what you're trying to do better as well. Like you can invest greater energy.
Every job you can perform better if you are operating at your highest capacity as a human. So if you neglect yourself, like how you're doing yourself a disservice for your passion by making yourself struggle in that way. So I wish someone would have taught me that, but I came from a family of like, hard work defines who you are as a human. And if you're not in there giving up all you can, it was like, oh, okay. Again, a family full of law enforcement and attorneys. That was kind of like
the sentiment
the American way.
echoes for me too. That's what I grew up on, as like, immigrants from Hungary who were fleeing the Soviet Union, and it was like, if you're not like breaking yourself, they'll break you for you, or so. That was like the mindset of it.
Honestly.
So yeah, there is no pausing to it.
It's tough. It's a tough thing to unlearn, is what I tell people. I'm doing so much more unlearning now as I get older than I am learning new information, because I've kind of learned that there's so much that we don't know. And the more I learn, the more I realize how much I don't know. And it just grows exponentially every day. I'm like, I know so little, but it makes me appreciate what I do have. And I'm kind of learning that instead of just always learning something new, sometimes I like to take the time to re-examine what I already have and question it, because I think that that's a healthier way of looking back at things, instead of accepting absolutely everything all the time as pure gold, is to question everything. And that's okay, because if something is valid, it will hold. So yeah, I had a lot of unlearning to do. And one of those things was things like self-sacrifice that my family, I respect the heck out of my family for the hard work that they've done. And I appreciate that they wanted to instill that value in me. But I think we could have just made some tweaks along the way and made it a little higher quality along the way. So yeah, I think that the quality of our work can improve, not by denying ourselves that care, but by giving ourselves that care and then some.
Absolutely. I think that's really well said. So in that time where, you weren't yet practicing this, with the volunteering at night, which I'm still just blown away by it. The volunteer firefighting, the paramedics on the weekends, the full-time schooling, and being a great student. What was the next step for Britt?
What was the next step? So in college, that was where, and I talk openly about mental health. I hope that's okay with everyone in chat. Hopefully it doesn't trigger anyone. So I am going to give a fair warning that I talk a lot about it and I talk openly about it. But college, at the very end of college, I almost did not make it out of college. With my well-being. And it was because I had gone the first 20 or so years of my life undiagnosed with OCD. I didn't come from a medical family. We didn't come from a background of people who talked openly about health or well-being or, thoughts and feelings. We were kind of like, the only processing I was really given was like, if you show emotions, that's dumb. Pack it away in this tiny little box and you stuff it way down there and you deal with that in silence in your room with the door shut when no one else is around. And I was like, okay, I'm sure this is okay. Yeah, no. I'll work on that later, but sure. And I wasn't given a whole lot of tools to process things. So it was just kind of like, you just put it away in the box and you store it for later. And I didn't realize that everyone else didn't do that. Other people were taught things like, that's why that therapy class that I took just kind of rocked my world, because they would talk about, emotional intelligence. And then it became this thing of whoa, it just opened up my mind to how much I didn't know about the world. So I was kind of always known as that's the quirky girl. she's a little quirky. She's a little strange. And I just kind of accepted it. I was like, okay, I'm not built the same as others, but I didn't always know how or why. So it took me until college to get into the point where I was almost non-functioning, almost to the point where I was I had acted like a machine for so long and denied myself that care for so long. I hit a wall. And my father was finally like, I think this is what they call a mental health crisis. So we need to get you in to see someone. And I was habitually doing this routine in my house, to the point where if I didn't do it perfectly, I couldn't allow myself to go outside, to go to class, to do work, to go and do the things I needed to do. So to the point where I just was repetitively doing this scenario over and over again. I was like, nope, I'm fine. I just have to get it just perfect and just right. And he's like, let's ask a professional. So I went to professional and she's like, guess what? You are textbook OCD. Congratulations. And I was like, she started saying out loud these things that were going on in my mind. And I felt so exposed. Oh my God. Has anyone ever done that to you where they just say something out loud and you're like, get out of my head?
Yep.
Oh my God. Where's my tinfoil hat? She was saying these things that I always thought were the things that you stuffed in the box and you put away. No one ever verbalized those. And I was so freaked out. I was like, I can't process the fact that someone else knows my deepest, darkest secrets. And she was like, oh, no. Just open up any textbook. You are the classic, patient for obsessive compulsive disorder. And she was like, and guess what? Life is really hard right now for you. And it's very uncomfortable. And she said something that changed me forever. She's like, guess what? It's treatable. The way that I am, I don't have to suffer like this. You mean this isn't what you're supposed to do? Because I was always programmed to just push through it, right? The harder you worked and the more you suffered, that was like your trophy. You earned it. You worked hard. So it was kind of the cover up. That was the cover up. That work ethic was the cover up to my mental health disorder that just progressed worse and worse. So in your early 20s is oftentimes for a lot of young people where new mental health or very acute mental health disorders will arise, where some things might have kind of peaked there through childhood. And with that massive amount of stress I put onto my body, that's where it really blossomed. And again, the fact that she was like, this is treatable, just blew me away. I was like, wait, I can be like free of all of these habits and all of these obsessive thoughts and all of these routines. And she's like, yeah, this is like the first step. And so since then, I've become very, very vocal about making people comfortable about talking about these things, because we would sit at the dinner table as a family and they would just like, this to me didn't make sense. They just bring up like, oh yeah, so-and-so's colonoscopy down the street. Oh yeah, I had one of them. And they just sit there and like talk about GI things at the dinner table. And I'd be like, gross. What are you serious? But then they'd talk about how your cousin was a little sad and they're like, nope, zip it up. You were like, this makes no sense.
Did we sit at the same dinner table? This sounds very familiar.
No. Chat, tell us you guys have been there. Tell us you guys have been there, okay?
And my parents, both MDs, dad's an MD, PhD. So like, it's not that the science isn't there, but the same kind of conversation. Like, oh, this patient, like, let's talk about like this cool like thing. Mental health. No. Go to your room. Put it in a box. Like you're 100% echoing.
Hello.
Yep.
Yeah. And it was common for our generation to get that kind of education towards mental health. And right, like that's how we dealt with it. So that's the unlearning that you and I and our peers get to do now. And we get to pass on to the next generation, is that unlearning of how to not deal with mental health. And maybe we can take a better approach to it. So every generation gets to improve slightly. And this is just one of those things for us that this is where our improvement can really do some amazing change for the next group of humans.
Yeah.
So that was the end of my college experience. And I ended strong. I found therapies and medications that worked really well for me, that were effective for me at the time. I ended up graduating, still Dean's List, still straight A student, everything that I wanted to be. But at that time, I was with a lot of other medical professionals. I befriended people who did what I did because we had the same dark humor. People who don't work in the medical field, there's just some jokes you don't say in front of them. We try to honor everyone's, personal sense of humor. And there is a way of coping that a lot of people in the medical field can relate to, that, it's not appreciated by people who don't experience the things that you do. And again, I honor that, and I won't say any of that stuff out loud here. Don't worry. And we were all supportive of each other because we understood what the other person was going through. And we kind of had our little clique, our little group of people who were going to college, but also working part-time, full-time, didn't matter. And they were all about a year or two ahead of me because I had gone to fire academy and paramedic school, and I did all of that. Well, everyone else, went straight into college and started getting their first 2 years over with. So all of my friends were slightly like a step ahead of me. And it ended up being the biggest blessing to me because I was able to examine myself and then look at my peers, and I saw they were struggling. I saw that every one of them had entered into college without any mental health issues. And by the time they were all applying in med school or in med school, they were all in therapy, in complicated relationships, highly medicated, dependent on substances. And that's no judgment. That's just where we were in life. And I kind of looked around and I was like, how come all of us that are on the same path, they're all experiencing this heaviness? Like, that's a lot. That's a lot. Why do we all have to go through this? Does it have to be this way? And it kind of made me turn around and go, I just figured my stuff out. I just worked this stuff out, girl. I'm not about to go in there and mess it up again. I'm going to wreck everything. And I just did all this hard work to, get myself in a better space. And I kind of looked at the education system and I was like, I don't know if that gauntlet is worth it to me, because I knew I wanted to have a family one day. And I loved what I had as a paramedic already. And it kind of felt like you can risk losing all of that and put yourself through medical school and be where your friends are. And they all had confided in me. They're all like, we hate this. They're all second year medical students. So if anyone knows, it's like notoriously a hard year. Second year is hard. It's like the end of all the academic book stuff. And then you start to get into like the clinical side of things. They were like all individually having these conversations with me, but they were all saying the same thing. They're like, this is not what I expected. This is not what I want. I don't feel like this is how we have to make physicians. This shouldn't be how we're created. It feels like a lot of needless suffering, basically. And so I took kind of just like the leap of faith to say, do you know what? Maybe this isn't for me as much as I love this. And people were shocked because this was my whole identity up until this point in my life. For me to say, do you know what? I don't think I'm going to go. I got all the way up to putting my applications into medical school and to say, I think I'm going to back down because I'm not okay with how the system creates these people that basically put themselves through hard time in order to become physicians to care for people and that are, again, subjected to really difficult schedules that are not supportive. And the American healthcare system, which this is not to open the conversation up in chat about the American healthcare system. It's very broken. That is objective. And I didn't want to be a part of it. I didn't want to make people suffer to have to help people. I just felt like if you were already sacrificing your life to help people, you shouldn't have to be put through the ringer. I felt like you should be supported. We should help you. You shouldn't be like self-sacrifice the whole way and then struggle the whole way. So I kind of went, I want to hold off on that. And I stayed where I was as paramedic and I graduated and I said, I'm going to take a year or two off. I'm going to take that time for myself. And I continued working as a paramedic. And I actually got into teaching because like, who knew I liked it so much? And I was like, I want to be around other people who like it too. And then when you get around students who are passionate and excited, it's really, you guys, it's so good. It's so much fun because they want to talk about it and you want to talk about it and everyone wants to nerd out over it. And they just like fueled the fire for me. Like, I don't think I ever would have burnt out of that job. And teaching other people and passing on that passion just was so invigorating for me. And I wanted to equip them with the best information I could. So it was the most uplifting time of my life that I made that choice of like, you can stop suffering now. It was hard enough working. It's hard enough working as a paramedic. All right. Like you're going through enough that I was like, I don't feel like I have to put myself through all of this to become more. I'm going to stay where I'm at for now, and I'm going to reassess the situation. So I taught for a couple of years, and I taught labs at the local community college, and I was an on-site proctor for exams as well. So I would teach up-and-coming EMT paramedics and EMT basic. And I loved it. I had so much fun with it. And the state that I was in, they had a shortage of RNs. So they actually would hire EMT paramedics to work in the ER in the capacity of a nurse, but you're essentially like in between a tech and a nurse. So they would put you on like the code blue teams. So if they needed, someone was having cardiac arrest within the hospital, you could respond. The physicians would like watch you do it a couple of times and they'd sign off and be like, this person can go in lieu of me. If I'm like in the middle of a procedure and we get a code blue, they can go. So then we would go intubate the patient, run the code until a physician could get there and take over. So you had to be like tested for these things. And I would be on the code blue team because that was something I loved and I was passionate about. So I kind of got that sense of helping and supporting other humans and doing the best I could in the position that I was in, and then using the rest of my energy to support the nurses around me and to support the physicians to be the best that they could be. And I was happy there. I was happy there for a while. And then I ended up having my first child, lucky to have a beautiful baby, and was so excited, was just thrilled. Like, wow, I got to create life. That's amazing. And it was such an honor to watch him grow up to be this beautiful little toddler. And I said, okay, great. I think I'm going to go back to school now. And I decided to go back the route of a nurse practitioner. So I started that program and I found out I was pregnant with my second child. So I had to stop doing that program. Now I had 2 kids to raise and then we had a pandemic. So that was where I say that was my coming out in many ways of me saying, by the way, everyone, I know that I've been obsessed with science this whole time, but like also I'm creative.
Which is a really, that the way that you're saying like the emotion of that is unfortunate, right? Because they should be 2 sides of the same coin, and they kind of are. The way that you were explaining like your scientific journey, it involved a ton of creativity. The visualization of a person and the pieces going together, that takes a lot of creativity, but it's weird that that's not considered like just right offhand, right?
Yeah. it felt like growing up, I was almost taught that it's very black and white thinking, which of course we know now isn't super healthy to look at it that way. It doesn't give people permission to be themselves. If you say you have to be this, you be that, and nothing in between, right? It's like, no, people are super dynamic though. Like we're cooler than that. We can be many things, and that's beautiful. And I always felt like if I told people about my artistic side or my creative side, that would somehow invalidate my intellectual side or my scientific side, that like that part of my brain would somehow be less than if I admitted that also I had this energy going over here to this other side of my brain. And it took, again, unlearning. And for me, having children, like, this is going to sound strange. You know how like you look at your best friend and you're just like, yes, let's go, queen. You know, like you're there for them. Like, I'm here to cheer you on. I'm your number one cheerleader. We're so gentle and we're so like loving and warm and supportive of our friends. And, you know, maybe sometimes overboard, and that's okay. And then you look at ourselves and we're so hard on ourselves and we're so like mean to ourselves oftentimes, especially high performing people. And so I just had these beautiful little babies and I'm like, you're amazing. You guys are doing so great. Good job. And I turn to myself and just be like, you suck at this and this and that. And I was like, someone said to me, what was it? It was, she had a picture of herself out as a child. And this was someone that I was in like a group therapy with. And she said, how I learned to speak to myself softer and in a more gentle, supportive way is that she had a photo of herself out as a child at her desk. And she said, if I found myself saying things to myself as an adult that I would never say to a child, she's like, I would literally turn around and look at the picture and think, would I ever say that to a child? Like, would you ever speak to a child in the street the way that you speak about yourself in your head? Would Balint say, hey, you know, you really could have done better here. You're being kind of lazy this day. Are you doing this? Would you ever look at your beautiful little baby and speak to your child in that way? Like, no, you say, you're doing great. You're doing even on a bad day, you're doing the best you can. And I'm proud of you. And you're doing awesome. Like, get out there. Go spoil yourself. Have a little fun. Like, rest every once in a while, kiddo. I love you. I want the best for you. So, but we don't speak to ourselves that way.
No.
And so she was like, I have to unlearn this. You have to unlearn this too. And I was like, oh, okay, guilty. So I was like the tough love that I needed. And I said, I would never tell my kid, I know you're going to school to learn physics, but like if you go do art, that's going to somehow, I would never, because that's ridiculous. I would never do that. Insanity. And I kind of looked, I was like, well, why do I do that for myself? Somehow the fact that I like to paint invalidates my passion for medicine. Like, no. So I almost had to like break the mold and like come out to people as like, by the way, I've painted my whole life.
So
I've been making stuff my whole life and never admitted it.
So was it just like hidden away throughout all the paramedics, the EMT, the courses that just on the side there would be some artwork that was being done? Was it painting was the passion? Painting,
usually it was like painting figurines or crafts, like any kind of craft, like any material I could get into was cool. My grandmother taught me at a young age how to sew. There's a lot of hand sewing, yarn art, crochet, knitting, like you name it. I at least tried it because I wanted to like learn as many skills as I could. And it was very relaxing. And as someone with OCD, I did find out too much later that was actually the repetitive motion of something. And then that gratification at the end of having something made and completed was like therapy to me, or at least was some form of self-soothing for me. So sitting there and crocheting in class, I was that's the weird goth girl that's in the background. She just like sits back there like makes up. Just ignore her. She's just kind of quirky, right? I was just the weird girl, and I was okay with that. I'd be sitting there just like crocheting with my hands underneath the table and finding that when I was feeling anxious or while I was trying to process new information from a professor, I'd be sitting there, just like crocheting underneath the table. And that repetitive motion was that soothing for me. It was comforting for me. So then I'd go home and I'd paint something. So I'd like listen to whatever I was studying, listen to notes or lecture or whatever, through my headset while I'd be painting something. And I just found that the repetitive motions of whatever you were making and creating, helped comfort me. And yeah, it just allowed you to think in a different way. Instead of there's absolute rules, it was kind of like, you can kind of like do this different stitch. If like you skipped this, you can kind of make up for it by doing this. And it was more clever and creative and not so black and white. It was more like, there is a problem, but there's like a couple different solutions and you can pick the route you choose. And I was like, oh, cool. So I messed up this line in painting over here. You can go back over it. You can do it this way. You can sand it down. You can there's many other ways to achieve that end goal. And again, I would do it on my own, but I never came out and told anyone about it. So it took me being on Twitch, streaming on Twitch, hi Twitch, and having my stuff in the background of someone finally kind of calling me out and being like, what's that? What's that at your desk? And I was like, mind your business. It's nothing. Don't worry. We're video gaming. Don't ask me what's over there. And they were like, no, what's that? I was like, oh, that's just my cosplay. Like, don't worry. They're like, you cosplay? Wait, you made that? I was like, yeah, I sewed that. They're like, wait, show me. Oh, it's just like a thing. Don't worry about it. It's like literally something from in the video game that I'm playing. And I'm like denying my friends showing them I'm making a cosplay of the character I'm literally playing. Like, yeah, they're like curious about it. They wanted to see it. So it took my friends here on Twitch calling me out and just being like, what's that in the background? No, show us. Shut up. Show it. Come here. Move over. What's that machine back there? A resin printer? What's that? Show us that. And I was like, people are interested in this. This is amazing. Like, yeah, I'm interested in it too. That's kind of why I do it. And so, of course, people want to see it. It's fun. It's interesting. And I kind of thought like that was like my naughty little secret, was like making stuff. That was like the dirty little secret. Was like, by the way, I like to craft and I like to make. So I kind of got called out by my friends, my fellow streamers and longtime viewers and now friends, saying like, hey, show us that. That's cool. That's something different, that some people did, some people didn't do, some people wanted to learn. And I was like, wait, this opened up a whole new thing for me, that people on Twitch weren't just about video games, which I bet you know where this is going.
Well, I mean, it speaks to the character of the community that you fostered as well, which is really cool.
They're pretty cool.
Yeah, about Twitch too, right? Because that there is this like, hey, what's that thing back there? And then it's like you want to see that. Like that's already goes to show like I think you were already collecting really good people ahead of time, and it's really cool. Like okay, then we take the next step. And so I guess did you totally drop the gaming and just go full into the making and crafting?
I sure did. Yeah. And now it's kind of like my naughty little like, oh, we're going to indulge is like playing a video game on Twitch. So yeah, opening up my mind to the whole, like, by the way, everyone, now that we're in lockdown and COVID and I had all this time and I was streaming more and, gaining this like new diverse group of friends that they were able to bring out in me, like, hey, it's okay to admit that you like to make stuff and you like to craft stuff. So to me, it was easier because I already did that process once to look at the science and education part of Twitch and be like, oh yeah, there's this incredible tool in front of us called Twitch. And I, as a human, can bring my passions to it. It doesn't just have to be video games. And so it's that whole epiphany of like, there's this incredible tool and humans are so amazing. They find different tools and like, yeah, things can go awry because sometimes we can suck and sometimes we mess stuff up. But also like focus on what beautiful, amazing things that humans can do with these really cool tools that we have, with all this technology that we have. And that's when I focused down onto, well, what about the other stuff that I'm passionate about on Twitch? And then that's when I found you and Danny and was like, there's other science nerds on Twitch. And I got so excited about it and just was like, we can sit around and talk about dinosaurs. Yup. Like that's what I'm doing today while I fold laundry. Absolutely. So then I got super excited about maybe I'm not the practitioner that I wanted to be or that I expected to be. But I found that being passionate about science and being passionate about tech, a big part of loving that is also promoting the people who are doing the most in that. And a way that I could help grow it was to support people who are making the content that I loved. So like being a mod in Danny's or always throwing alert to my friends who I think are doing really important work in public education and communication and serving in a way that traditionally educators and scientists have not. I think it's important. I think it's trailblazing. I think that there needs to be more of it. And I believe in it so much that that's what I dedicate a lot of my time to, is promoting other people whose work I love.
And not only that, you promote 3D printing and the knowledge of that as well. So like one of the things that I really, really love about what you do is that there's a lot of explanation that goes into the 3D printing process as well. So it feels a little back like when you were the paramedic educator, right? And then you had a group of nerds in there with you as well who are all about that as well. And now we're all in your stream and we're like, okay, this 3D printing stuff, like tell us about it. How do you go from the beginning to end? And what I love is that you frame it in a way where it is educational, even if the thing that you end up printing is like a Boba Fett blaster, right? It's not like it's still in the context of something really, really fun. And you kind of give the air of how you described your teacher in college, where it's you're not talking at anyone, you're not talking down to anyone, you're talking to us and you're talking with us. What do you find is the most useful approach to take on Twitch when you're trying to tell people about like the different kinds of 3D printing and how to do the modifications, and now because now you're doing the sculpting and the building as well? Like, what is the most effective way, you think?
And that's a great question. I know that it caught my attention because it was a way to combine the objective part of me, the scientific, engineering side of my brain, with the creative side of my brain. Was that if people who were interested in 3D printing, which additive manufacturing is super interesting, and I think it has potential to change the world and how we manufacture things as humans, and how it's just, I could go on about that, but I won't. And it's fascinating to me that you can take it for what you want it to be. If you want to get into it because you like to tinker and you like the tech and you like the numbers and you like to measure and you want to build and you want to create, you can, by way of building the machines or modifying the machines. If you want to be on the more creative side of things, you want to be more artistic and express yourself, or more, even just more practical, but you like design, you can get into the design side of things too. And that can change from day to day, and that's okay. Like, both are okay. You can be both at the same time. And I like to kind of just give people space to do what they want to do, instead of being like, this is stupid, that's stupid, do it this way, do it this way, here's how I do it. Is to kind of like present everything, to be like, here's everything. Go explore what makes your little heart happy, and I'll be here for you. Like, come touch base with me. And so I kind of just leave it open to like ask questions. There's no stupid questions. I really, really dislike that when we make people feel dumb for not knowing, especially because as a human, there was a point in my life where I also did not know. I did not know the exact thing that you were asking me, as a matter of fact. And it wasn't that long ago. So for me to look and judge is so counterproductive, because you need to feel safe, be vulnerable, and say, hey, I don't know this. It's very uncomfortable. So I have to go well out of my way to make it comfortable and safe for people to ask. Otherwise, they're not going to get better at it. And I would like to think that by making people feel more comfortable and help them grow in this space, I also want them to do it safely, because these machines are not safe. The materials that we use are not necessarily safe. And I want to be open about that with people, because I'm doing a disservice to my fellow man if I don't forewarn you that this can hurt you. It literally counteracts everything that I've worked against up until this point, was to heal people and care for people, to be like, by the way, this is a cool hobby, and I'm not going to forewarn you of the things. Like, I want people to move ahead safely, and I want them to have that freedom to be creative, to build the machines they want to build, to modify, to design, to 3D print, even if it's just casually. Like, this doesn't have to be your whole existence. It can just be a little hobby for you. However you want to approach it is fine by me. And I'm here to help you. If you guys want some help, come touch in with me. I make myself available on a lot of different platforms in a lot of different ways. So if you just want to shoot me a DM, I want people to feel comfortable doing that. So my friends know that they can call me, text me if they need anything. There's nothing that's too small, because even if it is something that like technically is a small thing, giving someone that reassurance and that confidence that like, hey, can I just ask you just like triple check? Totally. Absolutely, you can. Because I want you to feel great about what you know, because then when you feel great about it, you're going to be able to pass it on to the next person and the next person. But if you're not super confident in yourself, then, you might not help the next person. And that's a bummer. I don't want that. I want everyone who wants access to this to have access to this tech, because it's very cool and it can help in a lot of different ways. Again, it can be very practical. It can be very creative. And so I just kind of want people to have the knowledge that it's there, and I want them to be able to use it and to use it safe. And again, if they feel like you say, you have to, be open-minded, don't judge people, and, stay curious about the world around you. And I'm not helping others foster that curiosity in them if I make them feel judged or unsafe. So I kind of feel that responsibility, like very mom responsibility, to let everyone know that you can totally ask me. But I do that in the medical sense too. And I do still integrate a lot of what I know about mental health and about even just like basic human safety and stuff into what I talk about here on Twitch, by normalizing mental health, normalizing medical terminology, normalizing inclusivity in everything that I do. Because the more people, the other people doing it, the more comfortable that they will feel doing it. And who knows how many more people can, 3D print or make cool video games that you and I are going to play on stream one day, because I created a space where someone else was like, hey, I can talk about mental health and I can talk about how I'm feeling. I've seen someone else do it. I know it's okay to do that. And they do it for the next person and the next and the next. And it creates this valuable space for a lot of other people to recognize that it's okay to ask questions, it's okay to ask for help, and maybe they can get help sooner than I did. They don't have to go 20-something years of suffering and struggling. And when they are better taken care of, they can be safer. If they're safer, they're going to be more confident. The more confident they are, the more they can pursue their passions. It's like, it does nothing but help. And judging people hinders all of that growth from everyone, from you, from the people immediately around you, from your community. It does no one any service at all to be judgmental. It's so easy. And sometimes it feels really good. Okay. So like chat, I'm not judging anyone here. I'm a human too. Okay. Like I've said like, I don't know, like 80 nasty things a day, I promise. But like, it's so easy to be judgmental. And I just feel like for those who are aware of it, it's kind of on our shoulders to be hyper aware of being non-judgmental and having people feel good about what the information that you're passing on, because then they can pass it on and others can pass it on and they can pass it on safely.
One thing that you said there that also I think resonates with a lot of people is being able to be inclusive and be able to see many different kinds of people doing 3D printing, right? Being a paramedic and an EMT, that kind of funnels into the question that we've been asking every one of our guests is, you are a woman in STEM, right? What does it feel like for you to be a woman in STEM and to be the inspiration for that next group?
I would never identify as an inspiration. I don't feel that way about myself. I feel like what I'm doing is what we're supposed to be doing. I'm not doing anything extraordinary. This is kind of a paramedic mindset. If I didn't do it, simply the person behind me would pick up the role and do it. I don't feel like I was special for doing that job. I don't feel like I did anything extraordinary because I know of 20 other paramedics who would be right behind me to offer the same help. So it's not something special or grand or grandiose. It's the fact that we all decide to do it together. It's the fact that we're all supporting each other in doing it. It's not just one person. It's not a Superman saving the day. It's ordinary people that are all taking this mindset up together in order to help everyone else around them. So again, I don't feel like I did anything excessively unique or special. So going into STEM, I had really strong, wonderful people all around me supporting me. I definitely looked into it and saw like, I don't see people like me here around all the time. And so that was a little bit unnerving to be like, I might stand out. I might get treated differently. This might not be a safe space for me to ask all the questions that I want to ask, right? And I did have, even though there weren't as many of them, I did have a lot of really great teachers, a lot of really great leaders in the space that I was in that were women, that were strong women, that were the smartest humans that I know and passionate people. And they were just like beacons of light in this space for me. So I was lucky to have that, but I recognize that not everyone gets to have that. So I don't think that they didn't like make it, I don't know, I guess they didn't really make it feel like it was lonely or that I was weird or different or even special for doing what I was doing. They're just like, we're out here. There's not as many of us, but you're not alone. It can feel like you're alone, but you're not alone. They made themselves available for when I had questions. They gave me a safe space to learn and to grow. And so I feel like I owe that to generation behind me because I was given that space. So yeah, I would never call myself inspirational at all. I screw up so often and I'm trying so hard to be better all of the time. And there's so many people that are much better at it than I will ever be. But I can tell you this, that I will never stop trying to be where they're at. I will try every day of my life to be where those women were at. So like the least that I can do is create the same kind of healthy, safe space for other people to ask and to grow and to learn. I wouldn't call it inspirational, but I do hope that I can at least motivate people to be motivational, to help people be self-sufficient, to get themselves help, to help themselves grow, to help themselves be better. That word's a little scary and intimidating to me because I know the missteps that I've taken. So I like to kind of like tiptoe around that word. That one's scary for me.
That's fair.
I'm a good example of what not to do. I'm a great example of that. I am proud to be that. I survived it. But I don't know. I guess just I've never processed that before, but I think it's because even though they weren't as plentiful as, you know, a lot of the male instructors or leaders or managers that we had in STEM, the few women that were there were so incredibly strong, and they were so unique, and they were just so intelligent, and just like I said, they were just like this shining light in the dark to me. Everywhere I went, there was always at least this one strong woman just standing her ground and shining her light to be like, there are women here. So again, I feel like that's my duty to pass that on the other generation, for them to do with that light what they please, go in whichever direction they want with that. But yeah, I think that's kind of what's beautiful about it, is that you don't know who's going to see that light when you pass that on. You don't know who's going to pick that torch up next, and who they're going to pass it off to. That's very exciting to see. And I think that's what keeps you motivated on those days you're not so motivated, is to remember that there were women who served that role for me, and now I'm allowed to serve that role for other people. So do it, and do it well, and with a lot of coffee and a lot of luck. I'm trying really hard to do a good job at it. But yeah, I think of those women a lot, actually. I think of those instructors a lot, those teachers that I had. I think of them often. I actually still quote them all the time, I find. So it was nice to have other people, other women who were passionate about what I wanted to get into. Even though there weren't as many of them, they were wonderful. And I'm so glad that they were there for me to look up to.
I'm so glad that you're here for us to look up to, Britt. When you're saying that, like, you're hoping that people see the light, I hope you know how many people do see the light that you cast, because it is a big deal and it makes a big difference. And I believe in what you do. And that was why I was so excited about, you know, asking you to come on to this series, because I do believe in what you are doing. And that I while you are not yet ready to take that that you are this inspiration, and I know many others in this community look up to you, and it is truly incredible to have you here.
You guys are so inspiring.
So, Britt, thank you so much for joining us tonight, for sharing your story, your experiences, and for just being an incredible friend. Is there anything that you'd like to round out the stream with? Is there something that we didn't touch on that you want to talk about, and of course, coming up with anything, you know, promotional that's coming up in the Queen Britt show?
Queen Britt show. Oh my goodness, that is terrifying. No, I was so currently what I'm loving right now is getting to do. So it's called Polymaker Education. If you guys haven't seen it, it is in my link tree. If you guys, all of my links are in one place, like nice packaged up, ready for you. If you guys see my link tree, it will always, when I refer to things, I will leave you links there. So if there's any kind of resources or things that I share, foundations, Word documents, things like that, like I will always put it there for you. So currently, Polymaker Education is the project that I'm on right now. So I get to do the art direction for this project that, again, Polymaker has sponsored. They don't earn money from like the accounts that I'm currently running. The person who established it, his name is Nick, and he's wonderful if you ever get the chance to meet him or talk to him. Also a very passionate human being about what he does. He came to me one day and just said, hey, I know you're creative in this space. You make content. I want to do this where we just make cool stuff for kids and for kids' education and development, and we just put it out there for free. And he like left it at that. And I was kind of like, that's suspicious. Like, like what's in it for? Like, what are we doing this for? He just wanted to make cool things and put them out into the universe. And I was like, do you know what? That's pretty cool. Let's give this a shot. So he lets, me and other designers that want to contribute, just make really beautiful designs for kids, whether it's just for fun, it's for any kind of pretend play. There's like we're trying to build up just a giant library of free 3D printable files for kids in their education. So we kind of started on like the younger age of the spectrum that we're covering. And we have a library of pretend play foods, animals. We have a whole bunch of puzzles, like very beginner ABC 1-2 stuff. And then as we go along, we're kind of getting into like some more of the older science, classroom stuff and the models that they might, while still building upon. This was the one that we published today. It was this cool little jellyfish.
Oh,
It's having a
nice.
giant library of animals that they can pull from. So like matter the teacher or the child to find something that is interesting to them. So put out our first dinosaur also this week. Heck yeah. Can we get a heck yeah from chat? Some dinosaurs. We've got a couple of math things as well. We've got we did angles and then we did fractions as well for pizza.
Is that
So
for
these are all
Pi Day tomorrow?
I was gonna say, yeah, actually, I did remember those Pi Day. They have so many cool files, and again, they're all free. So if you guys 3D print, maybe you have a teacher in your life, and you're just like, hey, what would be useful? Like, what would be helpful for you? Again, like pretend play stuff, role playing stuff. Of course, I was gonna get that medical kit in there somehow, but this whole library is available to anyone who wants to download these. A lot of different people have contributed to it, a lot of different designers, and I always want to acknowledge the fact that we've had a lot of people that have helped, whether it was just they gave their free time, their skill, whatever, into helping us build up this library. And I'm proud of all of them, and I've had such a good experience with all of them. I've enjoyed the time I've got to spend with everyone on the team who's contributed along the way to build this up. I'm proud of them, and I hope that they're proud of themselves too, because I get to look at this big, beautiful library all the time that's just impressive and continues to grow. And I feel like it's just going to continue. It's going to continue growing and being helpful and being useful. So if you guys ever come across things that you would like to see in a classroom, like if you are a teacher, instructor, and you're kind of like, I have this cool model, but it's missing this, or I'd like to see this, or I'd like this tweaked to something that would be helpful and useful. I don't want to make things that are not useful. If you guys are kind of looking at like, really, that's what you made? Like, let me know. Give me a suggestion as to, what is practical and useful for you. Because I don't teach children. I teach my children. I don't teach lots of children. I'm not educated in that side of life. So give me your experiences and you guys tell us what you would love to see. And again, we have just like this giant growing list of things that we would like to make eventually. But whatever is most helpful and most useful, we hope that we make it for you and we put it out there. And I appreciate Polymaker and Nick for trusting me with the project and allowing me to put myself into it and put my spin on some things in there. So if you guys would support those videos where you see them, that would mean the world to me because I really love doing this. So on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, it's Polymaker_education. And then if you guys want to download the files, all of the files are posted on Thangs, Thingiverse, Printables, and MakerWorld. So all of the major sites where a lot of people get the file hosting sites you guys can download from, we have profiles on there, and the files are there for you guys. So if there's anything you see that could use tweak or you like to see something interesting or new or different, just drop me a line anywhere. I'm super available. I make myself available. Just let me know what you would like to see. Not everything is 3D printable, but we're trying our best. I really believe there's a way to make most things 3D printable and accessible. So I would love to hear from you guys what would be most helpful, and I would love to give that to you guys.
Have you had a favorite design so far, or is there a dream design that you're really looking forward to making?
That one's so hard. That one's so hard. Like,
It could be a multiple answer because I hate the one-off questions.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's so hard, right? Because like I was such a pretend play kid. I was such a like play dress up, do like the kitchen and the food and like make picnics. Like I was that kid, sure. Right. Like playing doctor, like putting on the white coat. Like, yeah, I was all about that. So I do like a lot of the career stuff that we have coming up. Those are coming up. I do think so, but I produce a video every 48 hours. We produce a file and a video, and that's kind of a quick turnaround for anyone who's never sculpted anything or made anything. It's kind of fast. So it would be really cool to make something much more intricate and complex. It would take a lot of time, but I don't know what that would be yet. Like I don't know how that would translate into this. That would be plausible because I'm just like, do you know how many cool medical things we could get into the classroom? But yeah, I don't know that all like elementary schools necessarily want all the A and P stuff. And I don't know. I'd have to think about it. Along the way, I've gotten like little things here and there that have been on my mind, and I've been lucky enough to find designers that are talented enough to like them. So I've got a lot of things that it's pretty cool to see them kind of like live in your brain for a while and then finally get to hold them as an object in real life. But yeah, I think probably the pretend play stuff. I'm going to go with like a lot of the stuff that gets their imagination going and gets to put them into a headspace where they can imagine themselves being anything. That's what I think is beautiful about kids. So I'm going to go with like, I would really love to have a lot of the career stuff and the pretend play stuff in there for them. So that way they feel like like I have access to and to be anything because they can. So yeah, I'm going to say the pretend play stuff, probably my favorite. And I would love to grow again on the pretend play stuff for kids, to let them be able to hold stuff and find their passion and find their magic and find their, trauma life in the ER, like what I had as a kid, and be like, this is it. This is the one, hold like power tools, like little pretend power tools, and just be like, I have to build something. Like, yes, go build it. I want to inspire them to do that.
I love that.
Let's go blend with the pretend play. I'll say pretend play.
And then since you did plug your socials, Britt, I do have to ask, what are your inspirations when you make these TikTok videos of not just on the other sites, right, of like for these 48-hour ones, but also yours in making something fun, approachable, but at the same time, you still learn about something?
So I kind of, oh goodness. So there's two different brands. You guys see Polymaker Education stuff. That is like the professional day job, if you want to think of that. And then I have my brand, the Creatrix Britt, you'll see, which is just simply means a female maker, which is what I identify as. I'm just a strange little lady who likes to make stuff. And that's kind of like where that branding came from. I don't like to take anything too seriously. You might notice if you watch a couple videos of mine is that, just humor to me is the key to coping with literally everything is to just laugh at it, because I think it's the most powerful tool that we have in the face of the most powerful and intense things in the world is the ability to laugh at things. I've seen it take people very far in life and to cope with, again, some very, very intense things, and the healing power of being able to laugh and to laugh at yourself and to be safe enough to laugh with the people around you and to have friendships with those people. I feel like that is one of the most healing tools that we have as people. So I like to wield that around with reckless abandon and constantly crack jokes at my own expense and laugh at myself and to make other people laugh and to know that they're not alone in their experience and of this awkward human life that we all live together and we all experience together. Is that like, that weird thing that you experience? I experience that too. It helps people feel not so alone, I think. So I try not to take any of it too seriously because I just cannot imagine going a day without cracking a joke at myself, because I'm ridiculous and I screw things up all the time, but I'm okay with that. And I've survived this long because I'm okay with that. And I think there's power in that to connect with other humans. Have you, stop, I'm going to go totally derail this. Have you seen the tortilla challenge?
I know. I don't know what that is.
Chat. Okay. If I tell you what it is, I was going to say, will you promise to do it with me one day? No, you don't have to do it with me one day.
We could,
but
we can do it. It's not going to make me throw up, right? Allegedly.
Oh, God, no.
Okay, then yes, I'm in.
I'm not, in. Allegedly. It's really silly. It's stupid. It's stupid and wonderful. I love it. So I tried to get people to do it with me at the 3D printing event, and everyone was like, come on, we don't have a place we can make that kind of a mess. This is so silly, but I sat around and laughed at these videos with complete strangers on the subway. I'm just watching the videos and someone else glances over. I've literally shared my phone with people on the subway to laugh at these tortilla challenge videos. So you hold water in your mouth, right? You take a big gulp of water into your mouth and you each grab a tortilla. This is going to sound, it's not it doesn't actually hurt. You slap the other person with a tortilla and you try to get them to spit the water out of their mouth. So whoever spits the water out of your mouth is the one who loses. So when they bring the tortilla across, it makes a loud noise. It sounds drastic, but oh my gosh, they have compilation videos of people that, I don't want to say that screw it up, but kind of. And that's what we've been laughing at is tortilla challenge people. There's this one girl who she walks up to her dad yeah, I'm gonna get you, old man. And she just swings it, but she swings it so hard she misses his head completely, and she spins around and hits the ground, and you just see the water up from the ground. And I was could you imagine if she didn't have the ability to laugh at herself? She just enjoyed the most magical moment. Are you kidding me? What a beautiful time to be alive in the world that you could share that and have millions of other humans look at that and laugh with you. I feel that makes more of an impact in humans, right? Than something that's tear-jerking and meaningful, because not everyone wants to interact with that. Not everyone is I have the time and the emotional energy to connect with that. So we all, some people do like to do that, but not everyone. But everyone likes to enjoy a good laugh. So if I, have to like practice it myself or do a few tortilla challenges to get other people to laugh and just forget about the stresses that they have in the world, if I can get another 3D printer just to be like, I'm so frustrated and mad at my machine because it's being stupid. And then I can make a joke, about my 3D printer, like sassing back at me and talking to me, and it makes them laugh. Like that was worth it. That was worth sitting down to make the video to help someone else, feel a little bit better about their day and to know that they're not alone. And then maybe they'll go back and watch some more of my videos that are educational and they'll be like, oh, hey, I learned this interesting thing about 3D printers. I learned how to fix this problem because she made something silly that kind of reeled me in. So yeah, the tortilla challenge. I hope everyone in chat tags me in their favorite tortilla challenge videos. I'm on all the platforms, by the way, at Creatrix Britt on all the platforms. They're my favorite. They're so silly. This other, oh my God, I can't, I'm just going to send them to you. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's really silly. It doesn't leave a mark. People aren't walking out of there with black eyes or anything, but it sounds, it's you hear it and you're just oh, that connected. It makes a really loud sound, but it's Three Stooges kind of silly,
I'm game. I'm game. All right.
It's just water. It's just a tortilla. I've not seen anyone walk away with the mark because I don't like watching people get hurt. I don't know if you guys could guess that about me, but I'm not into watching people that really take a bad tumble or get smacked up the head. I don't like those videos. Don't send me videos of people getting hurt, please. It's not my jam. It just makes me feel I'm going to assess them. In my head, I'm already assessing them and thinking of all the potential C-spine injuries they could have. I don't do that to me. But a tortilla across the face, it just sounds dramatic. But it's very silly. And the whole water thing is kind of what gets you, because I think people kind of forget oh, gross, that was in someone's mouth. They spit on each other at the same time. And then they both kind of register it. And it's oh, gross. And it's a good time. So if I can use silly challenges and trends and trending audio to make someone laugh and just be hey, there's another nerdy woman like me, or here's another human that I connect with, about how we feel about medicine or how we feel about education or whatever the thing is that we agree on, but I also kind of do it in a silly way that connects with you, then that was worth my time. However long it took me to edit the video, it was worth the time.
Many of your videos live rent-free in my head to the point where too, it's if I'm having a day, I will just pull up your TikTok and just watch some of my select favorite videos because they get me and crack me up every single time.
I don't maybe you do, but I don't think you understand how genuinely happy that makes me. Even if it's just Flip today is going to look at these videos and laugh, it was worth making it. Even just if you laughed at it one time, but I know you go back and you watch them.
And it lives.
Oh my God, I can't even watch my own videos. They're so ridiculous. They're very cringy, chat. If you guys don't know, they're ridiculous. Some of them are kind of grown up language things too. So fair warning, Creatrix Britt content is not always family friendly. I try to keep it that way, but we veer off. I'm a New Yorker, okay? We veer off the path a little bit. I try to keep it steady, but yeah, it's ridiculous. They're dumb.
But you also learn something really too at the end of the day from it, which I think is the cool part. Like you were saying, you connect. You learn about it, but also I still can't get over The Rock.
It's so for the longest time, and I didn't mean to at all. I tagged the artist and just was I'm so sorry. I was so worried about hurting everyone's feelings, not realizing how many Rock files were out there. It was a whole trend, and I came in at the end of the Rock trend, and I didn't realize it. So tons of these things have been made since people know me for that video. I've even had people in public be you make cosplay videos? I'm oh God, oh, I'm so sorry. Just whatever it was, I'm so sorry. People most know me for the one non-cosplay video that I have, and that video, I guess people kind of think that I'm into the Rock that. They think that I don't know, I'm his number one fan or something. I get so many DMs of look what's out now, look what's out now, look what's just published. It's just Dwayne Johnson is in my face constantly in my DMs, just staring at me on top of a Squirtle body, on top of a on top of a banana, on top of a band hammer, just all the time. Like, Dwayne, do we have to continue this? This is ridiculous. You cutting me like this. You got to get out of my DMs, brother. He doesn't listen, but like everyone thinks that he's like my main thing. Like, I loved it. I was like, look, I came across it. I ran to the bottom. I saw the caption. It made me giggle. It's a dumb joke. It was just a thing. But like to this day, people are like, oh, I saw this Dwayne The Rock Johnson thing and I thought I would send it to you because it made me think of you. And I'm like, oh no, I've branded myself on accident because of the artist who originally made the thing. But I thought it was silly. So I was like, oh, let me share this silly thing with the world. So, people laughed with me and I appreciate that. I'm never going to print it. Internet, please stop asking. I have never printed it. My hand to whatever you believe in. I've never printed it. Stop sending me rock files. Like rock on Santa Claus's body. Like at the holidays, I just get rocks. Like I don't like him. He's fine. Like actually, that's not true. I like Moana a lot, but like I don't want to print him. Stop it. I get so many sent to me.
I really hope one day there's a video, Britt, where there's like 30 rock things that have been printed, and you're just like, fine, here.
Maybe I should just print like 300 of that one file so people stop sending me stuff.
And send them out to your closest friends, but ask them like, hey, I'm going to send you something. Could you do a recording?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yes, absolutely. Make some bobbleheads. I have some bobblehead kits we could do this with. I have some double-sided tape. Let's make it happen.
Perfect.
Absolutely. We can make some like Christmas wreaths, some holiday wreaths, just all Dwayne The Rock Johnson heads. We can go crazy with it, chat. We can make that trend start right back up again. I got time. I've got time. The files are already made, guys. I just got to print them.
The rock lady
I never
does
printed
it.
one of them. I was gonna say I've never printed that. I've never printed the file. I never will print the file. Sorry, Dwayne. Yes, he knows the trend happened, by the way. I know a bunch of people are just like, does he know that exists? Yo, thousands upon that, like tens of thousands of files are out there with Dwayne The Rock Johnson on them. I don't know if he knows that specific file exists, but he definitely knows that he was a trend in 3D printing. Like he's acknowledged it. So I will not print it. I will not send him one. I'm sure he knows it's there. I was not responsible for it. He's not like my number one, squeeze or anything over here. I thought it was cute. It is,
and I love the video so very much. And just like I know I every time poor Britt comes in, I have to play it because it makes me smile every time. And the same thing where you say it, like if someone else will also get a chuckle at it, then it's made someone else's day as well.
I say worth it. It was worth the whole 15 minutes it took me to make that video to know that other people would continue to get some joy out of it. So if I can make this experience better for anyone, then it was absolutely worth it. So thank you for enjoying the silly things I put on the internet. Thank you for laughing with me, chat. Laugh at me. I don't know. That's fine too. As long as if it makes your day a little bit better, I'm totally fine with that. Whenever you guys have questions about the 3D printy things, I'm here for you. And if I don't have the answer for you, I will help find you a resource that does have a good answer for you. The song choice in that reel is perfect. Yo, I know. No, I know. It was trending at the rate. It's just luck. TikTok is beautiful because anyone can go viral at any moment. YouTube, you have to build that. You know how it is. It's tough out there. YouTube, she be picky. You got to put the time into that and build that up. Instagram, the FYP on Instagram is very like people, if you go to your FYP, what is that emote? What is that emote? Fergus, what is that? Good God. That's beautiful. More of that, please. Sir. Good sir. You're trying to cause a riot. My goodness.
Every one of our women in STEM interviews, he's dropped it at the most inopportune time. And I don't know how to turn off the emote wall, so it just pops up on the
No, thank you for that magic. That was beautiful. The FYP on Insta is very like, if you look at the numbers, it's videos that already already have tens of thousands of views on them. What's beautiful about TikTok is that literally anyone with any size account at any moment can post the right video at the right time with the right joke. And if it hits, like if that thing slaps, it's going. You have no say. Trust me, I've had videos that I didn't want to like get out there too far. I don't know if you can tell, but some of them I'm kind of like, it's okay if we keep this in the inner circle. And I put it out there and it's like, whew, and I'm like, oh crap. And then the videos you try really hard at kind of like, they kind of like flop. But that's what's cool about TikTok is that anyone can do it. You don't have to build up, a huge following in order for your stuff to do well. So I know people have their reasons to not like TikTok, and that's fair. If you have reasons to not like any social media platform, totally fair. I get it. But as a content creator, I do have to be on all of them, unfortunately. But I thought that was the most refreshing about the TikTok algorithm is that anyone can hop on, make a quick video. It doesn't have to be polished and perfect. Like YouTube has to be these days, like that, it's pro level, Hollywood level editing and equipment. It's intense and very intimidating to hop into. TikTok, it can be very like, and people are just like, oh yeah, relatable. Like this, they'll still like your videos, even if they are shaky and silly and the audio is not perfect. As long as it's something that they can connect with, then they vibe with it. They'll like it. They'll share it. They'll bookmark it. So that's what I think is so silly. If you guys aren't following SciAnts streams on TikTok, by the way, the ferret ones get me the most. Still, those are my favorite because the kids hear it too, and the kids always go, "What's that?" So every single time they're like, "Is it the ferret again?" And they're like, they know it, they know the voice, and they very much drop some ferret emotes in chat. Can we? We gotta hype up. Let's do ferret emotes. More, please. More, please. Fergus, love, where are you? I'm gonna need some. There we go. There's the DJ ones. Let's go. Let's go, Chad. I believe in you. The ferret one gets the kids. They kind of pop over. They hear me, and they know. They'll look over at me. They'll just be like, "Is that your voice?" Mm-hmm. I can tell. Like they know when it's me going through my videos or editing a video. But they hear the ferret, and they're always like, "Oh, is it the ferret again? Is the ferret on?" And they kind of like sneak around. They like, I'm not gonna lie, I like it too. I mean, like, hello, that's why it's on my phone, is because I like it. I'm following it. So make sure you guys are following so you get Ferret Friday on your TikTok as well. Quality stuff. But also on TikTok, they have a STEM tab. And I still have friends that don't know this. So when you go into TikTok, right there on the upper left-hand side, people still don't know this, but there's a whole STEM page. And I've turned to this STEM page multiple times. So not only do you get cool news updates and stuff, but like this right here, I've literally had issues with my kids' math. And I've gone to the STEM tab in TikTok and found answers. You actually, like live streamers, math tutors will be on here live working out problems. And you can pop in there and just like, oh, hey, I have this question. Oh, you have this question. And they just like, we'll work it out. It's the most beautiful thing. So even though I know the tool, not everyone is crazy about the tool, about the platform, I understand, but at least like, even if we have these crazy tools, let's use them and let's like use that power for good. So if we can't learn something from it, let's at least laugh at it. Let's get some use out of these crazy things, and get your Ferret Fridays in there as well.
Britt, thank you so much. And thank you for just, the good laughs always, and always the good vibes, and the immense amount of support for us as well. We wouldn't be here without, you and the community that, y'all always support us. And thank you so very much. Thank you for coming on and supporting our Women in STEM month and being one of our guests. It's been an absolute honor to have you on.
Thank you so much, Jose. It's an honor to be a friend of the community. Thank you guys for letting me participate. Thank you for letting me be my silly little self and for listening to me ramble for a little while. It means the world to me. And literally, chat, like I can't say this enough. You guys are amazing. Thank you for supporting us streamers, because our streams are nothing without you being here. So your presence is always appreciated. Every moment you spend in here with us is greatly appreciated. So for SciAnts, thank you so very much. And to the women in STEM out there, keep being amazing. You are amazing. You're beautiful. You're wonderful. And to all people in STEM, you're all wonderful. But especially this month, we want to celebrate those awesome women in STEM. So thank you for putting a spotlight on a bunch of us quirky little STEM characters out there doing our best. It's so kind of you to do so. So thank you for taking the time out, I guess, to highlight a lot of these other creators. I followed every single one. You guys go back and watch the VODs. Go back and watch the VODs because I've watched a VOD or two. Give them all the follows. The coolest content creators, the coolest makers, the coolest scientists. You guys, I appreciate you doing, dedicating the time and the effort into celebrating Women in STEM Month. So thank you, Friendo, for doing that and being amazing.
Thank you, Britt. When can the folks see you next time on your stream?
I stream here on Twitch every Tuesday and Thursday, usually around 9 p.m. EST. I am a mom, so sometimes life is chaotic. You guys know how it is. It gets a little wild. It's a little crazy. We party hard some days, you know. Sometimes they crash early, and I'm on here a little bit earlier. But if you guys ever want to hang out and do the Mickey Crafty cosplay kind of 3D printy things with me, then this is where I am, Creatrix_Britt, here on Twitch and on every other platform as well.
Awesome. Thank you so very much, Britt. We'll see you real soon.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Bye, Britt.